Wakanda Forever introduces us to the best hero of MCU's Phase 4, Namor, or Namor. But let's get a synopsis of the movie. Yes, there will be spoilers. I will spoil the entire movie for you, but if you have watched it, you know that Namor, yes, I just killed both accents, Namor, or Namor as he is in this movie, is basically the best hero of the MCU. Before we get to Wakanda Forever, we have to address the Black Panther. In the previous movie, T'Challa, he is the young leader of an ethno-state in Africa called Wakanda, and he's also its superhero protector, the Black Panther, because it's the Marvel Universe and every country needs a captain country, not only the US or the USSR. He's Captain Africa, I guess, and during this movie he fights off a coup that is led by his long-lost cousin, Killmonger. Surprise, surprise, he has this name and he's a villain. And after that he decides that he had enough and it's time for his country to reveal itself, its true self to the world and rise from obscurity to in the world domination. Because you see, Wakanda has a rare metal called vibranium, the one that Captain America's shield is made of, and apparently this metal is magical because it allows them to have super tech that hide from everybody. So that means that when aliens invade the world or dark elves invade the world, an army of robots invades a country, they just stand by and say, oh, we don't care. We don't care. We're afraid that all the other superpowers in the world, or the colonizers, will come to us and destroy us. It also means that they could cure people from illnesses that the entire world could not, but they wouldn't bother. They would let them die. Because they're the good guys, right? In Infinity War and Endgame, they were the place where the final battle against Thanos and his forces took place, and they gave them a run for the money. So yes, they fought off one of the most fearsome armies in the universe. Go Wakanda. We start this movie sometime after Endgame, I guess, and T'Challa inexplicably dies of a mysterious disease, we don't know. And while this happens, his younger sister Shuri, who is a teenager super scientist, or maybe young adult, I don't know, she's maybe 19 or 20, she fails to remake the heart-shaped herb that gave the Black Panther their powers, and she definitely takes this thing to heart. And if you're wondering why the protagonist of the movie dies, no, it's not because Disney has this habit of killing fathers in African-themed movies like in Lion King. No, actually, the protagonist of the Black Panther movie, Chadwick Boseman, died in between the two movies from an illness. I don't recall exactly what illness it was. And you know what? Definitely, I believe that Disney probably said, oh well, he died, one less wage to pay. Let's have his sister be the protagonist of the movie. I mean, we've already got a contract for her. Let's not have somebody replace our protagonist. Even though the script is written, we'll just rewrite the script. So, while this happens, a year passes since T'Challa died, and the other countries in the world, they try to get their hands into vibranium any way they know. For instance, the movie starts with France trying to steal vibranium from our research facility of Wakanda. Their mercenaries get beat up and then they cry about it in the UN in true French fashion. Meanwhile, the US do their own thing. They exploit the work of a talented young adult black female super scientist because there is only that thing. There are only young adult female super scientists in the world of Marvel and Black Panther. Her name is Riri Williams, and she has made a vibranium detector because her professor said you can do that. So she did that in a couple of months because that's how science works in the Marvel Universe. So they take this detector and they find out that there is vibranium deep underneath the ocean, I believe somewhere in Mexico. So yes, they sent Marines to invade a developing country to steal the resources underneath it in true American fashion. However, the ocean outside of Mexico has its own brand of natives who are not that happy. They're not brown, they're blue. Surprise, surprise, that's a big twist. And yes, the facility they've made is being attacked by mermen who kill everybody, and justice is served, I guess. And this is how the real hero of the movie gets introduced. We see Namor, or Namor. He's the leader of those mermen, and what he does afterwards is just as ballsy as a true hero should be. He just sneaks into Wakanda and he confronts the Queen and Shuri, and he tells them, he gives them an ultimatum that says, yes, we also have vibranium, we're not afraid to use it, we hid all those time in secret from the colonizers, but your son, like an idiot, he told everybody about vibranium and now we're in danger. So this is your fault and you will resolve it or I'll kick your ass. And the way to do that is to go into the US and kidnap the scientist that made the detector. Makes sense. That's what true leaders do. They go to whoever wronged them and say, you motherfuckers, you better fix this. But of course the Wakandans won't fix this. Instead they send Okoye, the leader of the Dora Milaje, the bald-headed women that are the bodyguard of the Black Panther and they're badasses, etc, etc. And she said, Shuri, come with me, it'll be a piece of cake, I will be in and out very fast and it's good for you to go out of your lab and into the field. Because she clearly understands that Shuri has grief and she's not that well in Wakanda. And the plan is we go into the US, we extract this scientist that they later learn that she is Riri Williams, and they should get into Wakanda to protect her from Namor. And this is a great foreshadowing of how treacherous the Wakandans really are. So they go to the US, they track down Riri, and Riri, she's a true Tony Stark wannabe, and in case you wonder, Tony Stark is the MCU equivalent of Elon Musk. So you understand that she's super annoying, and she also made bootleg Iron Man suit in her spare time. And you know what? At this point, I start to realize that Wakanda is really North Korea and the US mixed into one. I mean, it's an insular state, they have a supreme leader, and they don't let people go outside of Wakanda easily. And they have some over-the-top ceremonies there that look weird to us Westerners, and also they give zero fucks and they just go into foreign countries, they send their military there in order to brazenly abduct foreign citizens. Yeah, great going, guys. The FBI gets into their trail, of course, and we have a chase scene, and this is probably the best action set piece in the entire movie. It really looks fantastic, I enjoyed it a lot. And as they escape, we get Namor's people jamming them, because let's be honest, if you were dealing with people who talk with fake Nigerian scammer accents, you won't trust them. So they fight, and Namor's people, they captured Riri and Shuri, and they take them to their leader. And you know what, all this time there is something I'm noticing. There's a lot of Afropop and Latin music in the soundtrack that feels weird to me because it doesn't fit the epic cinematic vibe of the movie. And I'm starting to get some 365 days vibes out of it. And I'm certain at the point that what comes next is a full-on dark romance with very Latino and handsome Namor seducing this princess who's a prisoner or something, but no, it does not, because Namor is a noble leader and he's a gracious host. He tells Shuri of his origin, that he comes from Mayan people that got sick from smallpox when the Spanish colonizers came to the New World, and in order to survive their shaman made them drink a herb that turned them into fish people, and since he wasn't born then, he was in his mother's belly, he is a mutation, so he is able to breathe outside water, unlike his people, and he also has winged feet, and he's immortal, he's not aging, so he's over the top powerful. So yeah, this is how the Talokan, his people, were made. From my research on the Talokan, it turns out that it's sort of like the Tlalocan, which is the paradise of the Aztecs, and Namor's people are Mayans. But yeah, I mean, they're both Latinas. Everybody knows that Latinas is one and only culture. So Namor tries to reason with the very headstrong Shuri. They agree that they want to see the world burn and destroy the surface world. He even gives her a gift, the bracelet his mother gave him that contains traces of the herb that turned his people into the Talokan. He shows her the civilization built underneath the ocean. They bond in some way. There's no romance, which is, it's good, I guess. There are a lot of things in this movie that he tries to fit, and a romance won't be in the books, alright? It's not like it will fit a romance in there. However, while Shuri is bonding with Namor, her mother, the Queen of Wakanda, won't negotiate. Instead, she recruits Nakia, and when I say Nakia, I don't mean Kamala Khan's best friend. No, that's another Nakia. That's one of the Dora Milaje, who was also T'Challa's love interest in the previous movie, and she tracks down Namor easy peasy. She finds the hideout, she goes in there, she breaks Shuri and Riri free and extracts them. She also kills a couple of Namor's people. So yeah, that's another betrayal of the Wakandans at this point. Namor, of course, is betrayed because he had a meeting with the Queen while this happened, and he returns to find one of his people dying in his arms. So yeah, he won't stand for it. He tried to reason with the Wakandans, but they were beyond reasoning, so it's time to take measures. So he goes to Wakanda with his people, he steamrolls their defenses, and he confronts the Queen, which gets killed during the flood that comes along with the attack on Wakanda. He tells Shuri that your mother was not reasonable, she was treacherous, but I hope you will be reasonable, and I'll be back in a week, and I hope you give me that scientist and allow yourselves to me. He's noble, he spares his enemies and gives them a chance to do the right thing. That's what a real noble leader does. Because war is just diplomacy with other means, and he remains diplomatic. And of course, a protracted war will make more of his people die, and he doesn't want that. He wants to protect his people. That's a great leader. Shuri, who has the grief of her brother dying, also has to deal with the death of her mother. So she gets pissed off. So she and Riri successfully remake the herb, and Shuri, ignoring all traditions, rejects traditions, she embraces modernity throughout the movie. She just takes the herb without any ceremony, and she has a vision quest when she sees Killmonger, the villain of the first movie, and he tells her, "Girl, we're too alike, you're definitely vengeful, and you're going to fuck up." And if the villain of the first movie tells you you're going to fuck up, you're in deep shit. However, she just takes the power and she's out there to avenge the murder of her mother. She makes an Iron Man suit for Riri, and she also makes some other battle power suits for the Dora Milaje, and to be honest, those suits would have been a copyright infringement on Predator. However, Disney now owns Predator. They also come out with a plan to lure Namor in, isolate him, trap him, and then depower him by extracting all water from him. They retrofit the Panther plane, I guess, in order to dehydrate him and turn him weak. So we get the big battle in the ocean where the Talokan fight the Wakandas, and we get a big battle that once again proves that minority on minority violence does bring the ratings in. Namor is tricked. He is trapped in the plane, but he won't have it. He breaks the plane apart. Shuri crashes it into the desert in an attempt to keep him depowered, I guess. And they keep fighting. She's brutal. She slashes one of his wings off, so she cripples him. And she hits him again and again, but Namor won't take it. Instead, in the end, he stabs Shuri to the chest. He pins her to a rock, and then instead of finishing her off, he just goes away and tries to get to the water to save his life and probably get back to his people who are fighting without him, and he should be with them. But Shuri, I don't know how, she's not much affected by this spear to the ribs, so she breaks it and she frees herself. She takes Namor down and she tries to finish him off. So, while Shuri is about to kill Namor, his nobility, his care for his people rubs into her and makes her realize that she has lost her way, that her need for vengeance has led her people to further harm. And this is where she sees a vision of her mother, her ancestor, reminding her that what would your brother do? So, in the end, Shuri rejects modernity, embraces tradition, or maybe yet not that, maybe she just embraces the vision of T'Challa, which is significantly different from the tradition of Wakanda, but she's ready to become a true ruler and sacrifice her wants for the needs of her people, just like Namor does. So she agrees to end the war, to pledge allegiance to Talokan. Basically, she asks him to submit, and in return, she will protect his people when the surface dwellers come. So yeah, basically, she allies herself to Namor, and yeah, that's Black Panther Wakanda Forever. So we see this amazing journey of one man, Namor, making the treacherous Wakandans into allies against the evil colonists who want to take their wealth, the treasures of their culture, what makes their culture different. Despite their stubbornness, their immaturity, their irrationality, and their treachery. Yeah, Namor is the hero we do deserve. But of course, as with the first movie, the character arc of this brave king that wants the best of his people is somewhat flat, and a lot of effort is given into the villain's story arc. In this case, the Wakandans. Like in the first movie, we had Killmonger having the biggest character arc, while T'Challa was more like, not steady exactly, because he grows into the leader he wants to be in the end. But yes, both characters, both men, both Namor and T'Challa are wise, and they make their not enemies, they make their rivals see their sense eventually. So yeah, Namor is the hero we do deserve. Alright, yes, I'm trolling all this time, alright? And of course I changed clothes, alright? Because I had to do multiple takes for this video. When I went to see Wakanda Forever, I had a very different video in mind. I may do it. It was supposed to be called The Problem with Black Panther, and was definitely about the writing of the series, and was really interesting for me of how they resolved it, and I was not expecting this movie to be great because of it. Maybe I'll do this video next and see if you agree or not, if it helped you, especially if you're a creative, a writer. Amazed by what I watched, and I was amazed by how it wasn't working. You see, when you try to review Black Panther, and this was not my purpose because I was not planning to review Black Panther, because Black Panther is a political and politicized movie. It is political because it deals with political themes of power, of state, of reformation versus tradition, or of vengeance versus mercy. The first movie did tackle a lot of serious stuff, all those serious topics, along with the topic of Black trauma in an amazing way. And while the MCU has not given us great political works, when it tries to be nuanced and politicized, it kind of falls apart. That movie is unacceptable. But Black Panther did it very well, having Killmonger versus T'Challa. And I didn't think that Black Panther 2 would have a villain as good as Killmonger, but Namor in this movie did surprise me, because I was just watching his character and I was thinking of what if T'Challa was still here, and this movie would have been amazing. Because let's be clear about something, everybody brought their A game in this movie. The actors were all great, the cinematography was great, the special effects were great, the design was great. Yeah, it was definitely a very well made movie. Unfortunately, they made the choice not to recast T'Challa, and I don't believe it's because they sit out on it, as I said in the first part. I believe it was either a sentimental decision because they wanted Fred to be the Black Panther, and having somebody else play him would feel like a betrayal to them, or they were planning to kill Black Panther during the Talokan invasion on Wakanda. So they said, okay, let's kill him at the beginning and have Shuri take the mantle. So yeah, it was an easy rewrite, but was not. During the first act of the movie, I could see a huge Chadwick Boseman shaped hole all over the movie. I could feel his loss. He's missing from the movie, not in the characters, but in the plot. I could see that he should have been there. Namor was a perfect counterpart to T'Challa, because T'Challa chose to get out of hiding, face the world and change the world, and Namor is a bitch about it and blames T'Challa for it instead of owning up. So we clearly have a nuanced anti-hero / villain versus a heroic character. And yeah, maybe Shuri in the end is supposed to become the Black Panther, maybe not, I'm not sure. What the original script was, I didn't look for older leaks or rumors. I guess we'll eventually find out what was happening, but it's mostly, it's mostly an thought experiment. Instead, we got Shuri from the beginning as the star of the movie, and this added a lot of complexity. Her character arc was definitely not that well played with Namor, so that was a big minus. She was more like a third wheel, or she had a side arc to take the mantle from T'Challa, I guess. However, yeah, it doesn't work that well. And the fact that we get back to the old Wakanda, which was not a great place, and because of those holes in the script, you can just see that there are some problematic aspects to the world building, like the fact that Wakanda fits quite well into the noble savage trope, which is kind of problematic. And you know what, Black Panther was made by two Jewish guys in the 60s, so I guess it was big progressivism back there. And then a lot of African American writers went and fleshed out the world of Wakanda. But still, it's a very American world. It's like Talokan, like the Asgardians. It feels very Mac-African, or Mac-Norse, or Mac-Greek, or Mac-Latino. It lacks some of the nuisance, and that's something that Marvel has a long history of not doing very well, or comic books in general. There is always this exoticism aspect to other cultures, and a very shallow take, which is not great. Yes, there is this aspect that if the movie is good, you can ignore it. But if the movie is kind of playing around, or it just lacks the moral pillar that T'Challa was supposed to be, you start to notice that things are iffy and lines are very blurred, and you start to look for the hero and the villain because it's a superhero movie. And yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, to me, Wakanda Forever feels a lot like Pax Americana, only with black people, aimed at African Americans and white progressives. That, however, brings with it all the aspects of Pax Americana and its problems and its problematic aspects, like policing the world, like invading other countries for resources or to protect your resources. The Dora Milaje are a lot like the CIA in some ways, and the CIA used to be the villains in all the 80s movies, so yeah, that's not a good look. And a lot of the things done feels very Game of Thrones, which is much more amoral and doesn't have good guys and bad guys, except for Jon Snow, who knows nothing. Yeah, this movie lacks a Jon Snow. Shuri does have something of Arya, but Arya was not a great person in Game of Thrones, and she's not a great person in this one. She finally understands her mistake, but she lacks a save the cat moment early on to make us see that yes, she's flawed but she's good. No, she is good at the end but she's flawed throughout. And Namor, while he's not exactly the most moral person, he has a moral code. He knows who he is, what he wants, and this makes him feel more like the hero, even though he's very harsh. I haven't watched Black Adam, but I guess he's a lot like Black Adam, a traditional anti-hero in a movie of non-heroes. So that's where the Namor is the true hero comes from in the title and the thesis of this video. But yes, I thought that this movie was not working, and I would rather see a recast of T'Challa rather than what I saw, because it was the same, and yeah, I didn't like it. So tell me your opinions down below in the comments, and I'll see you soon. Thank you for watching.